All right. Good morning, America. Top producer series. Mike Price, Mr. Stacey White. Good morning, Stacey.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, man. All right, guys. Well, Stacey and I are long overdue. We've been talking about this for a while, and we've both been really busy with our providing value to our teams and our people in our organization. And Stacey, one of the things that I'm talking to agents on the regular daily is value. And a lot of agents have not been in this market before. If you haven't been in the market, if you're less than 10 years in the business, you haven't seen this. And what you and I have been talking a lot about lately is the importance about aligning with the right people and making sure that you have the right people around you that are going to help you get through this. And so what are you seeing out there in the agents you're talking to?
Yeah, I mean, great question. So, there's a tremendous amount of agents that, haven't seen a market that we're entering. So there's a little bit of fear on their side, just not, hey, buyers seem to be sitting on the fence, sellers seem to be questioning things. So, a lot of it's just, since there are a lot of new, in the agent world, there is a pretty significant amount of turnover, right?
Mm-hmm.
So over the last, especially 6 to 8 years, as the market has risen substantially, it's been a easier market for agents to operate in. And I would say over the last 18 months, it's been even easier as we had that massive spike up in prices. And what I would say, it wasn't necessarily a skill-based market to where a lot of agents could cover up a lot of sins in terms of pricing a house right, getting it ready. And those days are over. Now it's back to, giving a seller really good education on a pricing strategy, making sure the house is in a great condition to properly prepare their house for the market. And then honestly, it's a really strange market in the sense of we have very low inventory, but with rates so high, buyers have a lot of questions and trying to figure out how to navigate the market. So for those of us that have been in the market and understand, not necessarily creativity, but walking the buyers through some financial options to make sure they're still getting, a home at today's price. There are some things that can be done to help lower the interest rate, right, which is hovering around 7. In some cases we can get that down to, around 5, maybe high 4s, at least for the next couple of years, and let the market settle down. So yeah, a lot of agents are just, they haven't seen a market like it, so there's a little bit of fear and just they're trying to figure out how to navigate it, I think, is the big thing.
Yeah, a lot of agents, I know the agents on my team have never even seen a price reduction before.
Yeah.
It's how do you get a price reduction? Well, that's a skill-based thing. It's a conversation you have with the seller in the beginning, and you future pace them on it. We're looking for 5 to 7 showings in the first 2 to 3 weeks, and if we don't have that, we got to make an adjustment. And a lot of sellers right now I'm seeing are in denial. A lot of them, almost 95% of the ones I'm talking to, still think that the market's strong, still think their house is special. And agents, friends of our, agents that are listening to this, you've got to have a very clear, a clear message when you're talking to your sellers, and you've got to let them know you have to have the hard conversation on the front end in the beginning of the appointment, not try to get that later, and tell them right away. And don't be afraid of the outcome. Tell them right away that if you don't make an adjustment, if we don't have a contract in 3 weeks and you don't make an adjustment, you've got to make an adjustment. If you don't, you're going to miss it. And it's not going to be a marketing thing, right? They always think it's a marketing thing.
Yeah.
How do you get these price reductions, Stacey?
Well, I think the other thing too is, my team practices, every single day, every single week, every single month on understanding the market, both statistically, right? Like every Monday we review stats. Every agent on my team has to present the stats for their area. And then the second piece is we're consistently practicing our conversations, what we call dialogues with our sellers and our buyers, and for 2 things. So it's funny you said that, because my favorite phrase right now, which I'm telling everybody, is sellers are still living in a market from a year ago. Mm-hmm. Buyers are living in a market a year from now, right? So we're somewhere in between that. So if you understand the stats in Atlanta right now, we're averaging, if you look statistically speaking, this isn't Stacey, just picking these out of thin air. On average, every listing's getting 5 showings, right?
Right.
Per FMLS stats. Well, it's taking over 10 to get a contract, right? So only 5 showings, but you need 10 to get a contract. So knowing that, when we go in on the listing consultation, we're future pacing the seller to say, listen, we have to be smart with our price. There's no more stretching the market. We have to find market value and list at market value or slightly below it and let the market push it up. We still have low inventory. So we do know that a house is priced right and it's in good condition, that we should get you still, we're still getting, again, statistically speaking, 100% of list price.
Mm-hmm.
If either one of those two items are off, you're going to sit on the market longer and you're going to net lower than list price. So we're future pacing the sellers, and we're just, because we understand the market, we're telling them, listen, if we don't get 4 to 7 showings in the first week or first 2 weeks, right, then we've likely missed the market on one of those two.
Yep.
And we're going to have to adjust likely the price, right? Most sellers aren't going to want to invest any more money or necessarily, invest $1 to get $1 out. So more often than not, we're going to have a good price strategy. So every one of the agents on our team, when we go on the listing consultation, we've already laid out our pricing strategy for the first 30 days. Now our goal is to get it sold the first or second weekend. But if we do go 30 days, the seller already understands what the pricing strategy is, and we will feed them along the way should we get feedback during showings, right? But more often than not, we've already got a pricing strategy for the first 30 days because we're confident we'll get it, sold in 30 days, ideally the first weekend. But we have a strategy for the sellers to make sure that we're moving quickly, because in a market with rising rates, right, buyers are becoming pickier. Yeah. Early November 1st, 2nd, I think the Fed meets, right? They've already talked about raising the Fed funds rates 50 to 75 points. Will that have an impact on interest rates? Maybe. We'll see. We're hoping that some of it's already baked into mortgage interest rates, but there might be a little more trickle up. We'll have to see how that plays, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm a seller and rates go up, well, again, buyers now have less that they can afford of a house. They have to change their expectations. And quite honestly, they're going to start pushing harder on the sellers for more, seller contributions or some sort of thing from the seller to make it all work. So we're building all of this in. And the funny thing is, we've been practicing this in the hottest market for this type of market.
Yeah.
So like I always tell the team, I think it was Gretzky that said, you're not, skating to where the puck is, you're skating to where it's going. So we're always 90 days out. And I think as a leader, you've got to be looking out over the landscape and understanding. So we've been practicing this, and we've just built it into our DNA with all of our sellers, regardless of the market conditions. And I think the challenge is with newer agents or agents that just got in the business in the last 5 years, they aren't in an environment to where they're hearing these conversations with boots on the ground on people that have been in the market, right, for some time. I mean, listen, I got in the market in 2010. Statistically, the worst market, the bottom of the worst market in my lifetime, and honestly in 2 lifetimes, because we could equate those numbers to the Great Depression. So I've seen a few things as you went through that market also.
Yeah.
But the good news is, people are still going to have to buy and sell. The conversations are different, and we are now in a skill-based market to where the agents that understand how to guide and coach and help sellers and buyers navigate this market will win. The ones that can't build these muscles, can't build these skills, unfortunately, are more than likely going to leave the business. And if National Associations of Realtor is anywhere correct, they're thinking 25 to 30% of agents will leave or fail the business in the next 18 months, which is a crazy statistic.
A couple of things you said there, I want to kind of unpack a little bit. One of those is being in a skill-based market. It's really important. Like you and I came up through a system where there was a fair amount of masterminds at our other brokerage, but you and I had to really go out and create that for ourselves. We had to form groups of people. We had to grab top producers, and which was fine, and it worked. Being aligned with people that are doing it at a much higher level has always been something you and I strive to get to, and we're doing that now weekly with our weekly mastermind with our Fast Forward group. What would be your advice to the agent out there that's maybe was doing 5 to 10 deals, or maybe even doing 20 to 30, and now they're seeing a dip, but they're not getting that value from where they are now? I mean, how would you combat that if you were that agent right now?
Listen, at the end of the day, we're all entrepreneurs, and it's up to us to guide our business forward. It's not our broker's responsibility. It's not my mom's responsibility. It's not my team member's responsibility. It's my responsibility, right? To get myself in the right rooms, to educate myself and get around the people that can show me the path, right? Now, that's tough a lot of times because we've talked about this in the past. We could each look at each other as competitors, right? I mean, hell, we're in the same market. We're both in Roswell. So you're going to have an abundant mentality. You're going to have to push to go get in the right rooms to get the right conversations. Here's the funny thing is, you and I are in some very big rooms now. Both of our businesses have flourished substantially. Mine's almost 3 times what it was when I left my prior broker. I mean, we're pushing 60 million this year. Not to mention the other avenues of revenue that we've generated. And the difference is getting around the people that are far, far ahead of us, right? Mm-hmm. Substantially far ahead of us, and where we can learn and we can grow. Now, more often than not, that's going to cost you $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 a month to get in that room, right? And we've all had coaches like that, and I've had and still have coaches. However, for a lot of agents out there, a lot of agents don't even know these rooms exist. Let's get that straight, especially when from smaller mom and pop brokerages. I just had that recently, and 5, 6, 7 agents that are now in our mastermind group were like, I never knew rooms like this existed. Right? So I'm telling you, they do. And by the rooms that exist these are the conversations that we're having on a daily basis, right? We're talking scripts, we're talking stats, we're talking how to navigate this market. And quite honestly, while everybody else is trying to figure it out, we're stepping on the gas and going to take more market share. And so for those agents, what rooms are you in, right? Get in the rooms that you can learn and grow your business, or, over the next 6 to 12 months, it might be a little bit of a rough road. And sometimes it's agents' egos. I think we've all been there. Sometimes it's their egos to ask to get into those rooms. Sometimes there's fear to get into those rooms because I'm not ready for that room. But you know what? You grow around the conversations that are had around you. I mean, Veronica Barash was with us in, there's a private, John Cheplak had a private mastermind in his suite when we were out in Vegas. And Veronica was like, Stacey, half the stuff he was saying was Greek to me, right? But the fact that she was in the room and she was hearing these conversations. So as her business continues to grow, and her and I have conversations down the road on how to grow her business, she can reflect back on those conversations that she was in that room. Because she looked at me and said, Stacey, I don't know if I'm like, everybody in this room's doing 150, 300, 500 transactions a year.
Yeah.
That's the right room to be in, Veronica.
That's exactly right.
Smallest fish in the biggest pond, because you're going to learn so much just by osmosis, just by being in that room. And the beauty is you've now met all these people. So when it is time to ask the question, you know who to ask the question to. And her business has grown, her mindset's grown, especially in growing a team. So your environment is going to be the biggest decision maker, or the biggest deciding factor on how far your business grows, or how quickly it will fall off, for sure.
Well, when you said about the right room, I remember when you and I got into the Fast Forward Movement Mastermind, which we've been part of for you more than 2 years, me 2 years, which is our group at EXP led by Dan Beer and Kyle Whistle. And on that call every week, and I if I'm not there, I watch the recording the next day, but I'm there most of the time. And one of the things for me, being around people that, and there's probably out of 700 people, there's probably, at least, 100, 150 that are doing north of, $100 million a year. And to be in a room like that, what it did for me is it lifted a lot of limiting beliefs. I was like, well, I can't do that. That's too hard to do. You can't do that. And then you see people that were at our level, 40, 50, 60 million, 3 years ago. Now they're at 150, and they're showing you here's not only how you can do it, but here's the pathway to get there.
Exactly.
And hits the fast forward movement. And I think that that's something that's missing in the Atlanta market, and there's something that's missing nationwide. And so for all of those of you out there, Stacey and I are offering you an invitation free. There's no charge to get in this thing. You just got to know us to visit this mastermind group. And it's every Monday at 1:00. All you have to do is direct message me, call me, Carrier Pigeon or Stacey, and say, hey, I want to hear what that's all about. There's no recruiting here. There's no, you have to join our brokerage. It is giving back what we're getting. But you will see when you're in these rooms, there's a lot of people that are doing, I can't remember who it was last week or the week before, but they said, yeah, right now we're down. Our pendings are down. We're only at 65 under contract for this month. I was like, whoa, 65. Whoa, you're down. It's usually 90. And so we're talking to people like that. Being in a room like that not only stretches your mind, but it makes you think. You just feel comfortable. Like I know that I can do this, right?
100%.
Yeah. And there's a lot of folks that just aren't in those rooms.
Yeah. Well, the agents need to invest in themselves, right? Which is going to mean taking time out from family, from, whatever other luxury or benefit items you have to build the muscles to move into this next market. And it's funny, it's a perfect example. I did a business planning session down in Noonan on Friday. And, a couple of the agents came up afterwards, and it's about a 3-hour session. We broke the business down so they knew every single number that they needed to achieve in 2023. I mean, there was so much clarity given to them. And the majority of them are like, I hadn't learned this much in 3 hours in 3 years in their current environment, right? So agents going to have to make a decision. What rooms are they going to be in? And are they just going to go get into those rooms? Or are they going to, well, I'm not ready for that room. I'm scared to be in that. All the other limiting beliefs we tell each other. Listen, the door is open, right? You just have to walk through. And all the value that's been shared with us over the years, especially in the tremendous amount of growth that we've had, even just over the last 36 months, which has been amazing. We're sharing that with everybody. And so it's up to them to decide if they want to step in and learn from, somebody that's traversed worse markets, for sure. But not only are we wanting to survive, we want to thrive. Like our goal next year is likely going to be somewhere near 80 million in volume. Not everybody wants to grow that big, but I will tell you, whether you're at 5 million, 10 million, 15 million and want to double your business or maintain it, you're going to have to build new muscles. And in these rooms, we're going to show you basically everything you need to build your playbook to build whatever type of business you want, whether small, big, or crazy big, like some of the friends we hang out with.
So insane. Well, a lot of agents, we've both been there. When you're between, 0 and 6 million, you're pretty much doing it all on your own. And once you get to about 5 or 6 million, you got a business. You've got a small business, and now it's all about leverage.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think it may have been David Brooke that said this the other day. Real estate is the trial and error business. So you get in it and you do all this and you make these mistakes and you grow. And that's because we don't really have the people around us. And you and I paid for a ton of coaching. I know we've both paid for north of $100,000 in coaching each in our lives. And now we don't have to do that anymore because the people around us are like, hey, wait, you're here. And for you and I, it's different. Like, hey, do I need to hire a director of sales? Do I need to hire, a CFO? It's that kind of thing. And they're like, wait a minute, let's look at your P&L and see if you're ready. And there's a lot of agents out there that are at 5 and 6 million that don't know how to get to the 10. Well, if you're going to go to 10. You can double your business 1 year by working harder. But how do you go from 10 to 20? You can't add more hours to the day. You have to have leverage systems and tools. And us being in the group with a fast forward, all these people above us have conquered this, and they lay out, the plan is laid out there, the path.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's incredible,
100%. Well, and both of our business looks very different because we do, instead of making those mistakes and trial and error, and whether it's real estate or anything, the entrepreneurial, journey is going to take you through a lot of, trial and tribulations. And you can either do it on your own, or you can build your business alongside other entrepreneurs who, in our case, we have some people that are, significantly far ahead of us, even though that you and I've grown pretty far.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we're 10 years ahead of some people that were in that room on Friday. And I said, don't measure your 6 months to my 10 years.
Right.
It's part of a journey. And even though I wanted to skip from 6 months to 10 years, well, if I would have done that, I wouldn't have learned all the lessons and built all the muscles to then be able to grow from 60 to 80 or 100 million, down the road. Right.
Right.
Well, this part of the journey, the beauty of it is, instead of it being a crooked journey, and Mike, hang on one second. Let me grab my, just look at my chart here before I came out. I'm going to let you take it over.
Go ahead. Yeah. So while Stacey's
days we're using.
while Stacey's taking that break, I'm going to put this out there to everybody that hears this. You may not watch this today. You may watch it in 6 months. You know, today's October 26, 2022. But just, you may see this at some point. You can still reach out to us. If I would challenge you to take a hard look at your business right now, and whatever brokerage you are at, it doesn't really matter, because like Stacey said, we're all entrepreneurs. But take a hard look at your business and see where you're at and see where you're going to be in 5 years. And do you have the tools necessary? And do you have what you need to have in order to get there? Do you have a clear path? And if you don't have a clear path, then you may need to talk to somebody that does. And Stacey and I are happy to talk to anybody at any level. And if it's above the level we're at, we've got somebody that's doing 5 times that. And take a real hard look at your business. No obligation. You don't have to join our brokerage, but just to see where the holes are. And then we can give you some advice on what you need to move forward, because this is a skill-based market. There's a lot of people that are going to be leaving the market because they haven't reached out to people like us or people in their group, their world, to try and find out, hey, how do I make this better? I'm struggling. I was at 6 last year. Now I'm at 4. I don't know how do I make that up? Right. And so anybody that wants some help, you can always find it here. Right, Stacey?
100%. Yeah. I mean, I talk to a lot of agents quite often, and we do Zoom calls. We do a lot of different things to help each other, and, in their, definitely in the business journey. And as you know, I'm a really hard systems guy, and, I build everything to be repeatable for growth. And I've shared that with so many people, just to help them where they are in their journey. Right. Even on Friday, I mean, to help everybody out with their business plan and understand their numbers going into next year. I don't think people have seen stuff broken down to the level of detail. And honestly, it's just the plan we've used for the last, Lord knows how many years to help grow where we grow. And, any agent that wants to plug in, we do have an upcoming business planning in Alpharetta on November 4th, I believe. I think we may have a couple seats left.
Yeah.
If they want to experience that. But yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of mastermind. I know you and I are going to start getting a regular mastermind in my office going, a monthly mastermind for anybody who wants to plug in. And we're just going to be talking about the market, the current market conditions, and then really talk around what's happening in the market, what's happening around our businesses, to help each other grow, or I should say continue to grow. So if anybody's interested in that, hit us up, and we're going to let you know. We're starting doing that mastermind in Roswell at my office on a monthly basis, for anybody that's struggling with systems, people, et cetera, et cetera.
When you put together the business planning and started doing these for our group, and guys, Stacey started this for our group, to help our modern agent group here in Atlanta grow, and it kind of exploded. You called me one day, hey man, you're not gonna believe how many people are coming to this from other brokerages because they're not getting it at their brokerage. Correct. And I'm seeing that now in the one we have coming up next week. And I'm also going to put this out there, like you just said, the mastermind. Stacey and I are going to start doing a mastermind, monthly, and it's going to be in person. And we don't care if it's 500 people or 5. We just want to get some bright minds in the room. And so if you're a top producing agent in the area, you're going to get a call from one of us or both of us in the next, month or two, because we're going to be setting these things up and having panels. And because I think it's something that's highly valued and underdone here in our city. And if you help, you can get anything you want by helping everybody else get what they want. And I think that's great that we're doing that. What would be, Stacey, if you were going to do a mastermind like today, what would be your main topic to talk about?
Probably current market conditions, just because the market changed on such a dime. In June, they popped the rates a point, and then just recently popped the rates another point. And so the market's definitely, what I'm calling tale of two markets. House is priced right and looks good, you're probably still getting an offer or two. House is either priced wrong or not in good condition, you're probably going to sit on the market for a hot minute and have a price reduction. So we're talking a lot around that and how to really educate your sellers on the market. And then what are we doing to help buyers understand there is an option around 7% rates, and that prices are going to continue to go up in Atlanta. We're one of the best markets in all of the country, statistically speaking. And I mean, look at Money Magazine just named Atlanta #1 city to live in.
Yep.
For all those reasons, prices are still going to go up here. What I'm hoping and what's likely going to happen because of rates is the price growth, right? Because we've been on double-digit growth, meaning, you know, what, 17% year over year prices have grown. Now, is that going to flatten out? Absolutely, with rates, right? We've already seen the amount of transactions is down. But Atlanta's still a destination. Everybody's moving here for multiple reasons, right? So we're still going to have prices are still going to go up. So it's educating the buyers like, listen, rates are high, yes, but we can show you some financing that you can bring that rate down substantially for the first, 1 or 2 years of your loan. Down the road, they're going to have to step off the gas on rates once they get inflation under control, and you can refi, but you'll get it at today's price, not an 18-month price, which I can tell you in Atlanta, prices aren't going to go down for all the reasons we know why everybody's moving here. I mean, they're projecting us to add another 2.5 million. So we're at about 5.5 million in the, I think, 12 county area by 2040, which is around the corner. We're adding 2.5 million more people, which is 8 million. So Atlanta's going to continue to grow. Real estate here is a great space to be in. And so if you're a buyer buying in the market now, you're going to at least lock in, your price, some equity because they're going to grow. And we can show you how to manage the rates, at least for the next year or two. So that would be the mastermind topic we have, just because it's such a different market, especially, man, the amount of agents that got in the business since COVID in this 2-year period is mind-boggling, right?
It is mind-blowing. And a lot of those are going to be getting out of the business, the ones that don't have a plan.
Correct.
And which brings me to another point. You and I both know that our broker, GXP, has created a referral division. So the agents that, what do you do when you get out of the business? Well, you got to hang your license somewhere.
Yep.
With EXP, the way they've got it set up, you can hang your license here, but you still have access to all these masterminds. You still have access to all this information that you wouldn't get in a third-party holding company, right?
Correct.
And so, that's another thing to consider. Agents don't get out of the business, but if you have to, talk to Stacey and I about what that looks like, parking your license in a place where you can still have access to 50 hours of training and coaching every week. And you can't sell real estate, but you can refer real estate.
Yep. And still earn commissions and everything else associated with that.
Absolutely. You still get the full, the VIP pass to all the information. And I guarantee if you plugged into that information on a weekly basis, you wouldn't have your license on a holding pattern for long. You'd be back in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, man, I know you're a busy guy. You and I got a lot of fish to fry today. Thanks for taking this time today. And just to the public out there, Stacey and I are on a mission. We've been very blessed with our businesses, and we've made a lot of mistakes together and individually. And we are in a position now to help a lot of people. And we have a lot of resources that we can help folks. And we're going to do these videos right here, every, week, 10 days. But we've got a mastermind coming up at the, towards maybe the end of November, early December. And then we've got a business planning coming up on the 4th of November. So, DM us if you want some information. But let us know what topics you want to discuss. We'll put it together. I know this thing will start off small, but it will probably end up really big, like our Fast Forward group, and just providing value to the agents in the area. Don't you agree?
And 100%. One thing I would say is, listen, we can tell you all the good stories, but I'm hoping you're watching, because Mike's and I business both has grown tremendously over the last 24, 36 months. There's got to be a common denominator there. Yeah. Mike and I just didn't wake up one day and we were more brilliant than the day before. Yeah. We got in the rooms. We're getting educated every single day. So for the agents that are struggling, maybe their business has gone flat or pulled back, man, get in one of these rooms, see what it's like. If it changes the needle for you, then that leads to bigger conversations about your business and what we can do to help it grow. So,
amen, brother. All right, guys. Listen, everybody, Mike and Stacey signing off. Thanks for watching today. Watch this video over and over again. Let us know if we can help you with anything.
Cool. Have a good one, brother.
See ya.
All right.